Hi and welcome to Investopedia episode 5, where we're going to be doing a drive-through, environmental friendly drive-through of Dubai to understand different kinds of communities, open versus gated, where you should invest, what they are good for, who they are good for. And I could have done this in my office, but I thought it might be important to see what is the recipe for success inside of an investment, what makes it good, what makes it good for who. In case you haven't seen, check out episode 1 of Investopedia, which is with mortgage expert Rohit Shah, if you want to understand about mortgages for international investors. And if you'd like to check out how to send money across to Dubai developers, because once you've decided that you're going to be buying something here, the next step, or maybe one of the best ways to save money in the process, is by setting up a special account, which I've talked about in that video in episode 2. Use my link for wise.com. You get a customer care person to help you throughout the journey of sending money across to Dubai. Then episode 3 was about different kinds of budgets and payment plans, just to help you decide what a budget is, what the payment plans here are, how to calculate, blah blah blah. So check out that episode as well. And the 4th episode recently was about the whole of Dubai map, and trying to explain that to the best of my capabilities. You can check that out as well. And today we're going to see pretty much a continuation of my previous explanation of the map, but we're going to see it live, see the secret sauce that makes certain investments stand out compared to others. So just so you know, throughout the video, throughout as we explore Dubai and its communities, we're going to be taking this area where we are right now, Business Bay, as the reference point of where to go and of how to think about these communities and about the people who are living here, because most people are working in these areas in Business Bay. Also, like next to the marina, JLT, that's another side of Dubai. So, but one of the city centers is downtown Business Bay. Downtown is to our left, if you see on the map. So just to show you very quickly, that's one of the city centers, and then that's the other one. So we're going to be exploring the rest of the map, and we're going to be taking these areas as like a basis for the reference point that we need to sort of understand where are people going to be headed from outside of these communities, where are they going, and that's what we're going to be seeing. In all other countries and cities, you measure the distance in kilometers. Dubai is the only place in the world where you measure the distance in terms of how many real estate billboards you've survived. So the first community we're heading to now is called Dubai Hills Estate, and before we even get to it, you start to see that it's a gated community, and there's a reason why people like it. In order to get inside this community, I don't really have to make my way around it. There's a bridge that they made recently, a couple of years ago, that takes you directly into the mall of the gated community and inside as well. But I don't, most other areas, and you'll see after we go ahead into an open community, what your entrance is like and what your entry and exit is like says a lot about the convenience and the livability aspect of a certain area. And the community itself is bigger than, I don't know, Manchester city centre or similar size. But basically the idea is that you're heading somewhere, and there's the developer is working in conjunction and collaborating with the transport authority of the city. So Roads and Transport Authority is responsible for this bridge, and the developer worked with them in order to ensure that this is developed to connect the community directly from the main highway. We don't have to go take a U-turn, we don't have to go into another smaller road, then take a left. All of that options also there. But what I'm trying to say is you're directly entering this huge giant area with a dedicated bridge that's made for them, for the people who live here. And that's why that before we even enter, you've got VIP treatment in a way. So this is Dubai Hills Estate. You've got that hospital right there. You've got apartments after apartments, and then townhouses on the back, which you can see on the map right here. So you've got townhouses all across here, and you've got apartments over here and offices right here. The mall is right there, and you've got some apartments here. and the central park. So immediately the first thing you notice, or the first thing you'll see, is immaculate greenery, immaculate sort of well-kept grass and trees and shrubs, and then organization, and there's a structure to the whole community. There's a central road, and there's multiple actually, but traffic is well organized, and then you've got a section for these apartments, and then you've got another section for the townhouses to keep their privacy as well. This was all sold in phases, like 6 years ago, and those people some of them have doubled their prices, some of them have tripled in the villas and townhouses. Whoever has upgraded and renovations to their houses has more than tripled their prices, some of them. The idea is that the person who got in here first and early, they saw the lowest entry price point, but then there was nothing here. Don't for a second think at that point of time this was an easy sell. It's an easy sell today. Everyone knows about it. Your mom and her brother are going to know about the DAMAC Hills today. Today it's an easy sell. At that point of time, that was the price it was at, which is compared to today would be considered dirt cheap or peanuts. People paid peanuts for these. But at that point, it was such a hard sell. At that point, it would take a lot of convincing and asking people to take a leap of faith, essentially, to like understand that the prices will go up. This is the first phase. The whole thing, it will look like this. And the whole thing that you see around you right now was all on brochures, and it was on just pictures. But now that it's ready, people moved in, it's starting to become, or it has become, sort of like an address now. Now it's a prestigious place. But it was such a difficult sell back in the days when the prices were low. But now the prices have doubled and tripled in some cases, and now it's an easier sell compared to 6 years ago when it was selling for peanuts. That's the idea. All you see around you is things to do, restaurants, cafes, there's a mall right there, and then you've got food trucks, outdoor things to do, parks, plenty of them by the way, but you've got a huge central park in the middle. People come down, people celebrate all their festivals together. It's just people like living together, and that's what they're capitalizing on here, and they're making sure that the place is clean and nice, and when you enter there's a certain way of, when you look at all the trees and you look at sort of the organized structure of the whole thing, that's like what people want when they come home. That's it. It's a very, very simple, and you'll see the juxtaposition when we now head into an open community. You'll instantly see what I mean. So you see the point. Everyone who's living here has their own house or an apartment, and everyone has the access to the same kind of amenities: the golf course, the kids play areas, the hospital, the mall. You've got basically everything inside. You don't really need to go outside. Everyone's got a sense of community. You've got neighbors. There's everyone comes out of their house to meet each other. There's social life. There's a social aspect of this, which you don't find in open communities, as we'll see. So right now we're in the DAMAC Hills estate. Yeah, we're just exiting. I'm right on the border. So across this junction from now, from the red light, we're going to enter into another community which is now open. That's an open community for villas, and that's going to take us to the apartment community for the open section of things. But you can see all the greenery behind me. Yeah, you can see all of the natural beauty. You can see that everything's organized, well kept. Now that's going to change suddenly. Like, you're going to see it instantly the second we enter that open community, right over there across the red light. Immediately all the trees are gone. The greenery is gone. There's no one entity taking care of the area. All the charm, the identity of that place is gone. There was a certain sort of sense of coming back home in that gated community, which has just suddenly disappeared, and it's just in the middle of nowhere. That's how it feels. It's the same location, but you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere now. Now this is Arjan, and the first impression you get is that it's all over the place. A lot of things are happening all at once, and it's like, I don't really understand how to think about it. It is very good for certain investors, and we'll go into details of that. But first impressions, it's not as well kept as the other areas we saw. Sure, there are some green areas, it is, the government is doing their job pretty well inside here. But then if you see, every tower has a very different architecture. Every tower is, it's just anything goes. That's what it feels like. All different kinds of logos and stores, and one of them is 20 years old, one of them is brand new, and like, I don't really, it's just nauseating in a way, if you think about it. But it's another one key thing here is, if you notice in what we saw at Dubai Hills or DAMAC Hills, what we're going to see next after this, is that there is a sense of completion date, because one developer is making the whole thing and they've bought the whole plot. So you know that by 2030 or 2032 or 2027, the whole thing will be done, because they've sold out everything. Now in this area, even if you see on the map on my screen here, it's like half of it looks like plots, and everywhere you go there's plots and plots and plots, and the construction's going to continue to happen for the next 10-15 years. But I don't know how long, because I don't have a date, because even after 10 years there could be 30% of the plots that are unsold. So I don't really know how to think about it, or think about the supply, because the supply coming on the market is not in the main developer's hands, because there is no master developer. There's the land that's sold to all 10 different or hundreds of different developers, and they're not working together. They're not collaborating on making sure that there's a homogeneous sort of situation here. There's a plot here, there's a plot here, and the people who are living here are gonna have to deal with traffic, because everything is under construction around, and there's trucks coming in, and they also have to deal with the noise, and then what's your walking track here like in the evenings? Like, if you think about it, if you're that person over there in that tower, living in whatever tower, let's say this one, and you get out of your tower at 6 p.m. you want to go for a walk. Where are you headed? What are you doing in this community? How do you make friends here? What's your social circle like? Where do you meet someone? In a random restaurant here or a cafe? Like, you have to really sit and think about this and visualize what life looks like here, and what it'll continue to look like for the next 10-15 years, and how, if the prices will increase, why would they increase. But there are certain benefits of these areas. They figured out that they can get away with just showing you the green without actually putting lots of, because it's basically hollow inside. But anyway, the point of this area is that as an investor, your benefit here is, if you're early in your career of investment and you've got a limited amount of fund to work with, instead of waiting to come back with a larger sort of deposit and blah 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 budget, and then waiting on these gated communities, these work for some people, because it acts like a stepping stone, and this adds to your cash flow, because these are great buy-to-lets. Now your tenants here are just people who want to be close to Business Bay and downtown, and we'll see on the map how far this is from Business Bay or downtown, and they just need a place to stay, really. So this is very stable cash flow for these people. Now the benefit here is, there's a tower there under construction, and then you can see a tower here as well. So there's 1, 2 over there, and then 3 over there right behind me. So now the benefit is, when you're coming in as an investor, you've got a certain kind of cash flow, really. And I now as an agent can understand and listen to what you're looking for, and I can match it from one of these. So it doesn't really matter which one you go for. They're all pretty much the same. They're all unknown developers, most of them. And if you're looking for quality and style and elegance, there are some nice developers in areas like these. But other than that, I don't really care about these areas, neither do most of my investors, but these are great for buy-to-lets. These are great for just building cash flow. That's it. That's where it stops. No one wakes up in the morning and falls in love with this area. No one thinks about, this is not an aspiration for anyone in Dubai or anywhere else to think about, oh, I want to move here and I want to live here and I want to die here. Not really, no. People think that about Palm Jumeirah, about Dubai Hills, about DAMAC Hills, sure. But, these are just places to sleep because you have to go to work in the morning. All right, so now we are entering the most notorious area, the most infamous area for investors, which is Jumeirah Village Circle or JVC. And don't get excited, it's going to be very underwhelming, but you can see that now. So nothing really, nothing to say I've arrived home, nothing like, no lights, no nice greenery, like there's empty sand around and all right, like it's like fine, yeah, I'm home, sure. That's the feeling you get around here. So this is the entrance. It's all just, since it's very old urban planning, no one really likes it, and there's construction all around, not just on the plots but also on the roads all the time. In gated communities you smile and wave, in open ones you just honk. So the idea in these is, like, again, with same as Arjan, you've got one tower which has a completely different architecture from the one that's next door, and that's just the theme here, because one developer over here is now fighting with another developer towards the right over there to get your business, to get your investment. So this is all a buyer's market, really. So what you're trying to do here is find the best value for money deal amongst all of these developers and see what is good for you, what's not good for you in terms of cash flow, in terms of quality, in terms of the amenities they're willing to provide in that particular development. And once you've found that, now that's your buy-to-let sort of investment. There's a walking track here, there's a couple of parks here, but it's a bit more like first come, first serve. If you see a basketball court here and there's people around already inside of it, and that means you're not going to play basketball today. Whereas in a gated community, because it's one corporate entity, so to speak, there's an app and you can book the basketball court or football court or whatever it is, or a barbecue area. But this is more like what you're probably used to back in the UK or back home in India for me. So first come, first serve. All the amenities are basically treated like that. And it's a mixed concept. So I really don't know when this area will be complete, because if you see that on the map on the screen, there's a lot of plots here, and I don't know when it'll be complete, when the construction will be done, when the people who are living here will be able to go to sleep without construction noises. It's like, I don't really know the answer to those questions. So, but for you as an investor, as a stepping stone, for example, that tower there now has a private pool. You can already see it. It's under construction, but you can see it pretty much, that there's private pools on the balcony over there. Now that's a better sort of outlook for your tenant than compared to this other tower here. So the idea is you need to buy something that's better than what exists as of today, and you're going to get some good rental returns out here, because the prices are a lot lower compared to those fancy gated communities. That's it. That's why you're here. That's why you want to see these, understand the lifestyle. And what the thing I'm buying, is that property gonna give them a slightly better lifestyle in the same area? Can I potentially be the king of the market? There are certain developers here who are considered the king of this region, this neighborhood. They're the best in this neighborhood. So there's a reason to buy that, for example. Head into the gated community where we're going next, which is the DAMAC Hills. The last point to say about numbers, although I don't want to do numbers in this, because the numbers will change, of course, and I don't know when you're watching this and where you're watching this, but basically, essentially, 2021, 2022, 2025 up until now have been the best years in Dubai's history of the real estate market. These areas, the prices have not doubled, and they've just barely increased. They have with inflation, and it is pretty sizable as well, but it's not really as awe-inspiring as the other ones that we're going to look at. But just to give you, but the buy-to-let cash flow in terms of the ease of affordability of being able to purchase these, because there's payment plans like 40/60 in here, or 50/50, or 60/40 and post handover, and those kind of things, which you don't get from these big developers. The way I know that I've been here too long is that I give directions based on the developer names and the community names instead of the roads. So as we head into the DAMAC Hills now, you'll see, and the DAMAC Lagoons is right here, by the way, but instantly, first impression is that this community never really recovered from its original marketing meeting. Now, we've driven about 10 minutes from JVC, or about 8 minutes from JVC, to reach the entrance of the DAMAC Hills. And now you can see what I meant by what you want to feel when you come home. And that looks a bit like a giant golf ball there for my eyes to see. No more plots, everything's organized, everything's there. There's a golf course in the middle because the theme is the Trump International Golf Course, and then you've got segregation going on, different clusters, different townhouses and villas, and then you've got the towers and buildings over here. So everything's like, from day one, it was planned, and you can see that as you drive around here. There's a quick way to know you're in the DAMAC Hills or any community by the DAMAC, or IMA for that matter. Every signboard is going to have the word DAMAC on it twice. Now that one glance across the community is enough to show you that there is certain kind of layouts, for example, on the golf course, and then when you move away, you've got the smaller townhouses, you've got the bigger villas here with the view of the golf course. And in this particular community, the central theme is the Trump International Golf Course. In the other ones, it's more water-based or amenities-based. So there's different flavors of the same thing, but the main thing over here that you can see is that people get to live together. There's a social circle here. People make friends, they go golfing, or they go over to the man-made beach, and there's so many different things to do. There's a central street here where all the restaurants are, or the mall is, and everyone gets together, does something fun. There's a community center you can book out in case you want to get your friends over. There's so many things to do that you won't run out of social gatherings, and there's a certain kind of lifestyle here. When Dubai was started, all of us expats were sort of a bit insecure about having to leave this place. So the people here, the audience was transient. So what I mean by that is people would lose their jobs and then they would go back to their home countries. But now we have golden visas in place, and now people have a sense of belonging and home because they know they're not just here for work. As long as they're contributing to the economy, they have the golden visa, they get to stay here for a lot longer. And that means a bigger number of houses will now be permanently taken off the market as opposed to earlier. People now have long-lasting friendships and neighbors and a social circle here as compared to like 10 years ago. So hopefully you've gotten a basic understanding of what different places in Dubai are going to look like. I haven't even touched upon the waterfront communities yet, but this was just to basically sort of shed some light on the different lifestyles you get out of different communities. There are entire gated communities dedicated for horses, and the centerpiece, like in this one, was the golf course. And same thing with Dubai Hills is the golf course and the mall. The centerpiece can be changed around depending on your personal taste. It can be horses, for example, the Grand Polo coming in from Emaar or in the ready ones if you want to look at it. Haptur is a good example of what the community is centered around. Similarly, Dubai Sports City, which is an open community, also has a golf course, but though that's reserved for that section of villas, which is in a tiny niche gated community, but those apartments do get access to see those beautiful views of the golf course. Motor City, which is another open community, but it basically, the centerpiece of it is the autodrome and the cars over there. And there's a high street. In Motor City is the only open community which has a high street with restaurants and cafes running through the middle. Essentially, most of these communities are in the same area. So JVC, Sports City, Motor City, Studio City, Production City, as well as Dubai Hills, Arjan, they're basically the same region, if not the area, and the prices differ massively. So it's about, for you as an investor, it's about understanding where do you see yourself as an investor based on what your goal is from this particular purchase, and assessing if your cash flow works for this way or the other way. But there are unique factors and important factors about why these prices differ so much, and hopefully I was able to show you the reason. So when you drive the roads of Dubai long enough, you start to realize something. These gated communities, these gates are not about keeping people out. They're more about defining a structure or way of life and a lifestyle. Some people want the structure, they want the community rules, matching facades, a quiet evening. Others want the pulse, the sound of the city outside their window, different kinds of sounds, different kinds of scents, mixed shops, a little bit of chaos. Both have their individual beauty and purpose. Both have their logic. Gated communities offer you predictability. You know who your neighbors are, what the streets will look like, what kind of lifestyle you're after. They're built for people who want certainty. Families who want schools and hospitals around, a certain kind of lifestyle. Open communities, on the other hand, are where Dubai's experimentation lives. They are imperfect, they're spontaneous, and sometimes chaotic. But that's exactly what gives them the potential. These places evolve over time, with the recent trend being, for example, the private pools and the balconies. But these places reward people who see value in these new evolving trends before everyone else does. So when you step back and look at it, Dubai's story itself is both gated and open. It's disciplined enough to stay visionary, yet open enough to reinvent itself after every few years. And the same applies to investing here. Some opportunities are defined and some are emerging. And your success as an investor comes from identifying when to choose structure and when to choose a bit more freedom. So as we end the drive, remember, we're not just buying a property, you're actually buying into a rhythm, a story, a lifestyle. Now, whether that story is behind a gate or without a gate, that's completely up to you. But either way, it's all part of the same vision, the same story, the same horizon that makes Dubai what it is.